What is going on, YouTube? This is the Just PSN podcast. We are here, episode 10 already. Episode freaking
Yeah.
10. We are 10 in. Still, obviously, a lot more things to come, but we got a lot to talk about today. And the main topic of conversation, which we will get to later, is the game, the big game. Every single year, this is the game everybody circles on their calendars. Ohio State versus that team up north. I've been so ready for this game, and I'm really excited to talk about this. But we're gonna hit some Browns and Cavs before that, so we can end it on everything fun. Andrew, how are we feeling this week?
Dude, I'm feeling fantastic, dude. Teams are winning games,
Isn't
living
it
good.
crazy? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody's winning.
Everybody.
It's been fun.
Yes.
And obviously we are going to start with Brownies, which another big win in another win that not everybody thought we would have under our belt. It definitely helped us being at home, especially I think for Robinson. And the kid, honestly, he played a lot better of a game than I think his stats give him credit for. A lot of drops in that game, just a lot of weird plays, especially in the second half. It was just so weird how the flow of the offense just kind of stalled. We got too complacent with the short game, and we really couldn't get the ball rolling, running the ball until pretty much the very end. And it let the Steelers hang around. And when you let the Steelers hang around, it's never a good thing. And fortunately, this defense of ours is, again, as we say every week, this is one of the most elite D defenses that is in the league period right now. It's been fantastic to watch.
Yeah, no, and luckily the Steelers had Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett on their side, which definitely helped us a lot too. Because
absolutely,
did you see that 40-yard bomb that Kenny Pickett threw to absolutely nobody?
Oh, dude, it was beautiful. It was honestly the best throw of the day for him, if I'm to be honest.
It was great because I was at a restaurant with a couple of my friends, and we watched him airmail it like that. We're like, oh God, he found someone deep. This is not good. He found someone deep. And we all just saw that nobody was ever like, oh shit, he just threw to absolutely nobody 50 yards downfield. Like, who did he see going down there?
I think he was seeing ghosts, honestly. Like, I think he just had a Sam Darnold moment where he saw ghosts because that Browns defense had him spinning out of the pocket into the
first play
lap
of the
of
game
three.
they had.
Yeah. I mean, which
Miles
should have been a fucking safety, by the way. That's ridiculous.
Two safeties in a row.
Yeah, like
two safeties in a row.
And look,
we should have been up 4-0.
Right. And like, I get that Stefanski didn't want to waste a challenge on that. I get that. That's fine.
That's fair.
But the refs missed that one pretty badly. It like, that one was one of the worst non-calls that they've had in these games in quite a while. But again, it is what it is, because at the end of the day, the outcome was what we wanted. We got the big win. We are 7-3. We are not only knocking at the door in terms of the AFC North, but the AFC in itself, which is, as a Browns fan, like, you almost can't even comprehend it.
I think it's if the Chiefs and the Ravens both lose and the Browns win, the Browns are number one in the AFC conference in total. Like, it's insane. Like, like, how the hell did we go from third place in the division to if we could win this week and be first place in the conference and have a home game bye week and shit like that? Like that would be the nuttiest thing I've ever seen. Like, the nuttiest thing in my lifetime. Like, obviously, we've never seen anything like that in our lifetime. We were lucky to see a 2002 wild card game and a 2020 wild card game.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is just the AFC in itself this year. Weird. The Bills being what are they, 5-5 or 6-5 now?
They're like a 500 team right now.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have lost a few close games. Obviously, I think the Chiefs are one of the better teams, but the Eagles look really, really good in the other on the other side of things, and it just makes you wonder how this AFC playoff race is going to end, because there's still so many possibilities. The Ravens are still a good team, but the only thing that really holds them back, it seems, is Lamar, and his ability to pass the ball efficiently every game because their run game is one of the best ones in the league, I would say, and their defense has been very sound as well as they always are. So, the Ravens are going to be there too. I think it just depends on really, honestly, it's going to come down to who is the healthiest and who is the hottest.
Yeah.
And right now, the Browns are hot, but we are not necessarily the most healthiest because we don't have Deshaun Watson. But we brought in a solid vet. We talked about who we wanted, and we both said Flacco was a guy we could have easily seen join the team. And as soon as we won that game, I mean, literally within hours, he was signed. So goes to show you that we now have options, but DTR looked good, as I said. Like, he really looked a night and day better than what he did against the Ravens earlier this year.
Well, now he actually had days to practice. He had days to actually get a feel for it. He had days to watch film and learn and see what the Steelers defense was going to do and what they weren't going to do. And when the first game of your career is 2 hours before kickoff, like, oh, hey, by the way, you're starting and you have no time to study a playbook, study film, nothing. You're just getting thrown out there and you got no idea what's going to happen. You just have no idea what's going on. And you can't expect them to win that game or do anything to do. Like, we all knew we were going to lose that game as soon as we heard that Deshaun Watson was not starting 2 hours before kickoff. We all knew we were losing. But with that being said, he came out here. He looked really solid, and he escaped the pocket when he had to, got first downs, made some good runs.
Made some blocks.
Made some blocks. I tell you what, this is a guy who's not afraid to make a block when he gets down.
He's not.
He'll throw a pitch, and then he'll sit down there and just sprint out there, just dive and just make a block. I'm like, oh, hey, like,
and especially as a Browns fan, you're like, please don't do that. Don't hurt your fucking shoulder. Please. We one guy out.
We cannot do this again. We can't relive these moments. We can't keep doing this. Like, I love the effort. I love the effort, but don't please don't kill yourself. Please.
Exactly. You're
and he's not the biggest dude in the world either. He's only 6'2". He's 6'2", 205, so he's skinny as hell.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a whole lot of meat on his bones. But yeah, he is not afraid of contact. And even that run, I think it was the third or fourth quarter, where he literally just lowered his shoulder and literally got him the first down just because of that.
Yeah.
It's cool to see, and like, dude, hell of an effort, but be careful, please. Don't hurt yourself. We are gonna need you.
And like you said, his stats would have been better too, because 7 drops, 4 by Njoku too, which, I mean, DTR would have been 31 for 43 for over 200 some yards if it wasn't for those 7 drops. Because if you watch those drops too, they were right in the hands of every single player.
Yeah.
Right in their hands. Like, it's not like he made a bad throw. They were right in the chest or like only up in the air where the receiver can get the ball. I mean, Amari Cooper tipped it up for the pick, which that's definitely not a DTR.
Right. But like, Chief had, I think he had 15 targets and he had only 6 or 7 catches.
6 catches and he had 4 drops.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's big. And like, and Chief knows that. So, I mean, I'm not going to.
He came out and he came out. He immediately after the game apologized to DTR, and he even called him like after like 2 days later, like today or like yesterday, saying like, "Listen, my bad, dude. Like, I got you next time." Like, and DTR said, "Dude, it's not a problem. Like, I know you're one of the best tight ends in the league. Like, it's just a bad game. It happens. Like, you're gonna catch these balls, bro. Like, I know you're going to. Like, he could have had a touchdown catch. He could have had multiple first downs, and this game would have looked a lot different if he made those catches, like a lot different. We could have probably put up 20 instead of 13, but absolutely. DTR looked, for a rookie, he looked really comfortable, and TJ Watt just a non-factor in that game at all. Just
DeJuan Jones made him his BITCH the whole game, and he only played like 20 snaps. I think he really only played on third downs.
It was 20 snaps, and he held, I think, 1 QB hit, and that was the sack, and that was it. Yeah. That was the only thing he allowed. Was that? Well, no, he didn't allow the sack. He allowed 1 QB hit after a ball was thrown.
Yeah,
he didn't allow the sack. Someone else allowed the sack. I think it was who allowed the sack. It was probably Hudson that allowed the sack.
I think so.
But he allowed no pressures and no sacks, and 1 small QB hit after a ball was thrown. Well, no, he got him on the run. He got DTR on one of the runs.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like DeJuan Jones just locked up TJ Watt like it was just not, and he pancaked him twice. Like you just pancaked a dude who's an elite pass rusher and just said, "Yeah, you're just gonna sit there for a little bit."
Yeah,
And
those are the
he got
yeah.
pancaked by Joel Batonio. He got like 3 pancakes on him.
Yeah, and then I mean, obviously,
Pulled
I'm
his
sure
knee
you've seen it.
too.
Yeah, the knee, like that was a little dirty. All right, TDJ, let's relax. All right, let's not like
I
I
get it,
get
you're not
being
doing
pissed
shit.
off. I get you're pissed off, but like take it and just move on. Like don't be going out hurting people. But
And the
it's
thing
the
is,
Steeler way.
and the
It's
thing
just
is,
how they are.
it was a knee that had the brace on it too. Like
Yeah,
if it wasn't the knee with the brace, we all probably could care less a little bit because it's like okay, like
right.
it's the more healthy knee he was doing it to, not the injured knee of Joel
Yeah.
Batonio.
Yeah,
Like
not the
don't.
one that that was scoped a few weeks ago. Not that knee, but you just had to go for that knee. Um,
No,
yeah,
he knew what
stuff
he was
like that
doing.
pisses me
It's
off
it's the
too.
same thing with the Fitzpatrick hit on Nick
Yeah,
Chubb. They knew exactly what they were doing. Like
yeah, they
you
do.
can't sit there and be like, "Oh, I didn't see him." Then who the hell were you tackling?
Right. Yeah, it's just a lazy way of playing the game, and it's
Yeah,
also just dirty, and it's like it's
they're just
not
frustrated and
necessary.
they were frustrated. And it's like, well, we get it. You're trash, but you can't take. You don't have to take that out on us. Like
Right now,
maybe do something on offense and stop. I mean, yeah, you stopped us on defense, but that's because we ran the ball 55 times.
yeah. So obviously, going back to our boy DTR, obviously again his stats didn't show, but that final drive going 4 of 4, not
Insane.
even counting the spike. Um, do you think this kid can really keep it up and really at least keep us in games and not kill us
I think
essentially?
so. I think so because what I saw, unlike what we all saw in PJ Walker would throw like 2 picks and have like 2 fumbles in a game.
Hmm.
PJ Walker just couldn't hold on to the ball or stop from like throwing picks. DTR can at least hold on to the football. He shows that he makes smart, intelligent throws that is not in the quadruple coverage.
Yeah,
And I think he can keep it up because that final drive showed us that he can sling the ball. And I think Kevin Stefanski was afraid to unleash that a little bit because he was afraid of him turning the ball over, which is very understandable. It's a rookie
right.
quarterback. You don't want him to. You want him to keep the ball in your hands, like you want the ball in your offense. But I mean, we all saw like when it came to crunch time, he unleashed and he had that big throw to Cooper, or yeah, he had that big throw to Cooper down the middle of the field that got us into almost within field goal range immediately. And he just had a couple of good throws after that, and I think as long as he did on that what he did on that final drive, he'll be the starter the entire way through.
Yeah.
I know, and you got Joe Flacco just to be there as a teacher and to coach him and be like,
Yep.
listen, like here's a throw that you missed that was open, but you still got the first down, which is good. But this throw was wide open. You had it all day. So sometimes you gotta go through your reads before you just make a quick decision. Like I get you want the ball out as fast as possible, but
Yep.
make your reads first before you. And Joe Flacco's a safety net. You
Yeah.
know, in case if DTR does struggle next week or this weekend, cool. You can go to Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco knows exactly what to do. He knows exactly how to be a pro,
Yep.
Super Bowl MVP, multi Pro Bowler. He knows what he's doing, and I'm sure DTR isn't scared of that either. Like he's like, listen, this guy's coming in to teach me. He's coming to help me learn, and he goes, I think I'm gonna get better because of it.
Yeah.
And you saw the emotion that DTR had after the game, and when he threw the interception, they said he was crying when he threw that pick, and Deshaun Watson said, "Listen, man, you're good. Just get out there, and when we get that ball back for that final drive, lead us to victory." And he did just that. And he said that was the motivation I needed from Deshaun Watson. And that's what Joe Flacco is going to be there for too.
Yep.
It's like, listen, kid, shit happens to us all the time. Like, just got to get up and make the best plays you can when you get back out there. And so he needed a little bit of motivation. And that game, and you beat one of your biggest rivals in the division. So that for him has to be a massive confidence booster going into Denver because it's not like you beat Arizona. You beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, which
Mhm.
has been our heated rival for a while. Obviously, our biggest rival, I would say, would be the Ravens because they were us.
Yeah.
But you beat the team that we hate just as bad, and that's got to feel really good for him.
Oh yeah, and I know Kevin Stefanski even said he doesn't lack confidence, so I don't think he ever will.
Yeah,
Um,
not at all.
but again, it is nice and it's good for the kid because that's the type of performance that that he needed. And obviously, again, it could have been better, and I think he knows that. Which is why I said what I said after the game, where I was like, listen, I think he can only go up from here. Like I don't think he can really get much worse because he didn't get a lot of help last week, and the play calling was a little too conservative, especially in
Yeah,
that third and fourth quarter.
which is understandable.
Which again, I get. I hope that we kind of open it up a little bit more,
I'm sure we
more
will.
RPOs instead of stuff like that. I would love for him to just have a little more, hey, we got you now, let's go.
Well, now
And
is a good time to run the football because
yeah,
Denver's running defense is one of the worst in the league. So now
yeah,
you can actually run the ball in this defense because they also lost one of their best DBs because again he speared
he's
someone for
headhunting. Yeah, he's headhunting.
he speared another guy for like the 15th time this season. Got
It
suspended
was
for another 4 weeks.
Dobbs. It was
Yeah,
Dobbs.
he speared Dobbs. Like dude, you know what you're doing, and you can't act surprised when you get suspended for a third time this season
Yeah,
for headhunting. So,
yeah,
but they lost, and he was a big part of the run game too that helped stop the run game, and so now he's out.
yeah,
So Jerome, now if you want to get a little conservative, you can because they're missing a lot of their run defensive players. So you can get a little conservative, run the ball with Hunt and Ford and Pierre Strong if you need it. You need to
yeah.
if you want to still play that little conservative mindset, but allow DTR to open up just a tad bit.
Yeah. And don't make him throw the ball 43 freaking times. He doesn't need to do that. I
No,
get that I
25.
get that we were in a position because we had a lot of 3rd and 15s in that freaking second half. My God. I
I
feel like
know it killed.
every single possession was like 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15. And I was like, Stefanski, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing these little dump offs that are going for 2 yards and 3 yards? Like,
Yeah.
we can't completely rely on the defense because they're going to run out of gas. But fortunately, there is a man on that side of the ball named Myles Garrett, who is another guy that I want to talk about real quick before we get into some Cavs talk. This guy has been so damn good. I think he is getting himself into the MVP conversation. Do you agree with that? Obviously, he is definitely going to be in the DPOY conversation, but MVP. We have not had a defensive guy win an MVP award. I don't know if ever. If so, it's been a while. He's got a chance though.
No, he's one of the only people who has a chance to win MVP, and I think he's definitely in that conversation because, I mean, he's already at what 14 sacks,
13 or 13 and a half, something like that.
13 and a half sacks, and the last. Oh, by the way, too, to answer your question, the last defensive player to win MVP was Lawrence Taylor in 1986.
No shit.
With
Wow.
20, he had 20 and a half sacks that season with 105 total sacks, 5 defended passes, and 2 forced fumbles.
And the majority of them since then have been QBs and running backs. Like
QBs and running backs.
I don't even see a wide receiver on this.
And the last I think his last running back
Was
never mind.
AP
and
2012.
Yeah. And I think it was the last non QB. No, it was yeah. Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
it was 2012.
Yeah, AP.
I'm
staring at it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because I was trying to think, it's like when. Oh no, never mind. I think it was like when the last Browns player was MVP was Jim Brown in 1958.
Yeah. It was.
Oh no,
my friends. He was the first ever MVP.
No, well, me and my friends were discussing who was the first rookie to win MVP because we were talking about CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out when the last rookie MVP was, and that was what it was. It was Jim Brown in that 1958 season. He was the only rookie to win MVP in NFL history.
And he was listed as a fullback technically back then, so they didn't even have running backs.
Yeah, but to stick to your point, to stick to the point now, Myles Garrett is definitely in the conversation. He's already at 14 sacks now.
Yeah,
and I mean, he's going to catch up to what Lawrence Taylor did. He's going to catch up to that 20 and a half. Maybe if not, he can get more because he could get easily 2 or 3 here on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does so, I mean, how could you not put him in the conversation for MVP when he's got the most sacks in the league? He's probably already guaranteed defensive player of the year at this point almost.
Yeah.
So he's going to win that most likely. And if he continues just to get 2 or 3 sacks a game like he has been, there's no shot that he's not up high in the conversation for NFL MVP in total. So
Yeah.
I think, yes, he's in the conversation for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't. The dude, not only, I mean, is he getting sacks? He literally just affects the game so heavily for us that it makes teams literally have to game plan strictly around
Yeah.
him. Not even including our corners, our safeties, our linebackers have been playing outstanding this year as well. Like everybody on that side of the ball has been playing fantastically, and then it opens everything else up for guys like Tomlinson, like Shelby Harris. The last few weeks played outstanding. Ogbo
Mm-hmm.
had a great game last week too. So Darius is finally starting to get get
Greg
some
Newsome
more.
the past 2 weeks has been elite.
Yeah, it's and even Emerson, man, Emerson,
Becoming one
man,
of my top favorites.
he is so good, and it helps that he has his height and is just athletic. Everything about him just makes him almost a perfect cornerback because he's able to basically cover anybody. And then you have Ward, who, I mean, let's pretty much face it, Denzel Ward is a top 5 corner in this league without a doubt.
Oh, major.
Like the only guys that I would probably put over him, like currently, is literally probably Jalen Ramsey, and then after that, it's probably a few other list of guys. I mean, Tariq, Woolen is pretty good.
Marlon
Darius Sneed's
Humphrey.
pretty good. Humphrey's good. I would say Denzel Ward's better than him,
Yeah.
though. He's up there.
Jerry Sneed is good too. Yeah.
Yes, and so he's up there, and this whole team has just been playing fantastic. Under Jim Schwartz. So my Miles Garrett really does have the potential to be an MVP, which is crazy to think about, considering everything that we've gone through this season. To the fact that we're 7-3 right now, a lot of it has to do with him and on that side of the ball. But also Stefanski coaching his ass off this year. I mean, he's also, I would say, behind Dan Campbell in terms of coach of the year.
Yeah.
Which again, I would still give to Dan because the Lions are legit. Plus, dude, I love Cam Campbell. That dude is he's so hard not to like. I love the dude.
I've seen people pushing for a Browns and Lions Super Bowl.
Oh, dude, that would be my dream. That is me and Adam's dream. My buddy Adam, he's obviously a Browns fan first, but honestly, he's becoming more of a Detroit Lions fan than anything else. And he is like, dude, that would be. He's like, I don't know who I would have to root for, but it might be the Lions. Like honestly, it might be.
Could you imagine the 2 worst teams in the past 2 decades just facing off in the Super Bowl?
Dude, we've seen worse
hilarious.
things. Yeah, I mean, we've seen weirder things happen. So,
I mean, we saw
a Giants team that went 8-8,
beat the Patriots, undefeated Patriots.
Yeah. So, I mean, weirder things have happened. They're both doing good this year, so it's up there. But
Mario Manningham became elite in one game.
Yeah,
and that was the Super Bowl.
Anything is possible, really. Anything is possible. But let's go ahead and shift our gears here a little bit to Cavs talk before we get into the game, which is obviously something that we want to talk about. So, first off, the Cavs just came off an actually pretty good win against the 76ers.
On a 4-game win streak.
On a 4-game winner, and they did it at least last night without Mitchell.
They did it without Mitchell, LeVert, and Okoro.
And did it pretty nicely.
They were up by double digits for the majority of the game, and then, of course, when it gets late, the NBA has to screw things up, and we got to make it closer. So they make terrible calls and stuff like that. I mean, if you watch the game, there was a lot of terrible calls that went against the Cavs, like Embiid with an illegal screen, but it was called on Max Strus instead. It's like, okay, that's not suspicious at all. And then you see Batum smack the ball, like literally pulls the ball, throws it out of bounds, and the refs are looking at each other like, who they go out on. That's like, we know who went out on. Everyone in the stadium saw who went out on. There should be no conversation or you guys looking at each other who should be an out on. Like, we know you wanted to give it to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Like, you know you wanted to let them to come back because they're like, there's no way the Cavs should be winning by 15 against the Sixers right now.
Right. Which, by the way, ew to that freaking court. Oh my god, that team gave me a headache.
I think the Cavs have the best play in tournament court right now.
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's so
it's
clean,
definitely up
it's so
there.
gold. It's
Yeah.
the nice little gold. It matches like a normal court, but it's like
Right.
nice and gold. Like everyone else is like Pacers were
Obnoxious colors.
disgusting.
Yeah, it's
Pacers
just
were
obnoxious
disgusting.
colors.
It's just so gross. Like, why the fuck are we playing on this?
But, again, the Cavs, Darius Garland, 32 points. I think Jared Allen had, 26 or 28 last night?
Yeah.
Had a fantastic game as well. I think Mobley had 18. Stress had 18, I believe, too. And Craig Robinson or
Craig Porter Jr.
Yeah, Craig Porter Jr. I still don't know half of this Cavs team because I've probably watched 2 games this year. But
dude, I tell you what, Craig Porter Jr. is balling. Like,
he's killing it.
He balled out in the G League. I think he led the G League in points last year, and I think he was like almost like an MVP last year for the team or for the league in the G League. He thought he was going to be with the Charge this year still because he's like, probably still gonna be with the Charge on a 2-way contract or whatever. No, they signed him to the main deal, and he's come out and done nothing but ball out. The last 2 games he's had, I think, close to last game he had 22.
Yeah.
And then a game against the 76ers, he almost had like another 20 or something. But he's like, he just dropped 22, almost 25 points on the world champion Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
And then just damn near dropped 20 on the and dropped more than 20 on the Sixers too. Like, who the fuck is this kid? Like, what the hell is he doing?
It's so fun when you find diamonds in the rough light, like that. And the kid fits the mold. And I think this might be a little bit of a controversial statement, but at this point, I'm cool if we get rid of Donovan Mitchell because I think the Cavs play a lot better when he's not playing because they are more open to be passing the ball around and getting everybody involved. I think Mitchell does a lot of ISO ball, which, I mean, again, he's good enough to. The dude can drop 40 whenever, but he doesn't have that same mentality that say LeBron did when LeBron could literally average a triple-double every game because he was still willing to get the ball to people. It kind of hurts the flow of the game, I think, sometimes. So kind of, controversial as it may seem, I don't see if he does, leave us at some point. I don't see that as big of a loss as losing a Darius or losing Jared Allen or Mobley or any of those guys for that matter, because this team just seems to play better when they're able to just share the ball on offense and get everybody involved with Garland leading it, because Garland can do it hands down.
Oh, 100%. And the thing is too, is like you can get so much back too for Donovan Mitchell. If you were to let him go, you can get a lot back for him. You can get draft picks, you can get players, like wherever he goes, you can get something for him. And like he does help. I think he does help the team a lot, but there's times where he does get too crazy with the ISOs late in games and kind of just throws it a little bit. Where I think if you were just to trust DG more and Allen more and Mobley more and stuff like that, I think it'd be fine. But there's times where we do go down a little bit and he tries to ISO it too much instead of just trusting his teammates. Which again, I mean, he could do what he does. I mean, he's elite for a reason, but I don't know, man. We seem to be winning games without him than with him.
It's weird.
It's weird. But we've always been kind of like a team like that where like it seems like where the stars go out, we just ball out for some reason. And when the stars come back, it's like, oh, we suck again. Like, But that's the Cleveland way, apparently.
It seems to be. But I mean, regardless, 4-game winning streak again, and that's why we've said, the last few times we've been on here is don't really freak out about the Cavs early on because it's still so early. There's still so many games to play. We're not even at January yet. I don't see anything really mattering, quote unquote, or being as big of a problem until All-Star break, and then you can make those adjustments at that you have off. And
we also have a game tonight against the Miami Heat in Cleveland at 7:30. So about an
Okay.
hour and a half. So we got tip off in an hour and a half against Miami. So boys have a chance to make it 5 in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean Miami is not nearly as good as they have been in previous years. I think they're
Yeah,
just getting older, to be honest. They're just becoming Golden State now because Golden State we swept, which is shocking,
insane.
but all like it is insane to think about. But then you look at everybody and you're like, man, everybody's in like their mid-30s right now. Draymond Green's getting gray and old. Like that
Yeah,
team's different. And it's starting to show because I think that team carried Steve Kerr for so long that now you're getting to see like what he's like as a coach, and he's not that very good at coaching. I don't think. I think he just got lucky with the team that he got. You know, he literally got handed Mark Jackson's hand-picked team, and then said, "Hey, go ahead and just coach
win a
these
couple.
guys."
Yeah, win a couple championships with a team that you don't because you
Yeah.
look at the games too. He doesn't really say much during the games too. He doesn't really
No.
talk much. He doesn't really give direction. Is that like a JB where you see JB like walking up the court, like giving direct, like pointing, giving direction, like actually like coaching? You just see Steve Kerr kind of just standing there with his arms folded, or he's just sitting on the bench, just kind of just watching and enjoying the game. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't really do. It doesn't seem like he does much coaching because you don't have to when you have Steph and Clay just draining threes like it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just hey, share the ball and then defend on the other end,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna win. But those guys are getting older. Klay
Hmm.
Thompson is not shooting the ball very well this year. Steph is still Steph, but like, Draymond keeps getting people in headlocks and chokeholds and fighting. So like, he's gonna be an issue for them as well. And he just signed
Yeah.
an extension. So yeah, goal they are in hell right now. I think, and I think that team is going to start slowly cracking here soon.
I wonder what their
And
record is.
all I know is they haven't been super good. They've been a little weird, but so is the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers really are. Every time I see them play, I feel like they're losing. Like
The
the Lakers
Lakers, the Lakers are 9-6 right now in sixth place of the Western Conference. The Golden
doesn't
State
make any sense.
Warriors are in the last place position for the play-in tournament in 10th at 7-8.
Man. See, I feel like the Lakers were so much worse, so that's my bad. Because I feel like every time I see them on SportsCenter, it's always LeBron saying, "Man, we're
By the
just
way,
like
just to
like
speak
we're
on
just like
Golden
the
State,
Pittsburgh Steelers."
to speak on Golden State, they lost 6 in a row before finally beating the Rockets last night.
And the Rockets are a fucking easy dub for most teams because they still suck.
Yeah, so Golden State's not looking the hottest right now.
But again, it's early. They're not even 20 games into the season. So I'm sure a lot of those guys are just being like, "Hey, we'll get this sorted out. We have time." But
Yeah, it's just crazy to see how old Steph is and Draymond is and Clay is. Like, they're 35 for Steph, 33 for Draymond, 33 for Clay. Like, these guys are old. Like, Gary Payton did seconds already 30 years old.
yeah, like it's weird because I mean the same thing happened with us in the uh NFL. Every one of those big time quarterbacks that we grew up while watching, there's none of them left besides A-Rod, and A-Rod's hurt right now. So,
Yeah,
you
it makes
know,
me sad.
it's a newer generation though, and honestly, it's
I
beginning
just,
to be a fun one.
we
Honestly,
grew up in the best generation, too, for, like, football.
we really did. We grew up so spoiled with just some of the best athletes known to man. I mean, we
Oh,
even grew up with
absolutely.
LeBron, obviously. I mean, we
Yeah.
literally physically grew up with LeBron.
I watched him play
Um,
high school basketball games at St.
right.
V and at the
Yeah.
Jar in
Yeah.
Akron.
Yeah, like it. We've just been very fortunate that we've gotten
Yeah.
to live in this life in terms of the sports world because we've also lived through many disasters, COVID, obviously 9/11, and just all the
Yeah.
other shit that we've gone through. We've gone through a very weird time, so it's no wonder
Yeah.
everybody that's our age has like severe anxiety and depression because life is just
PTSD.
too. Yeah, it's just too much. It's too much. But speaking of anxiety, the game.
The game.
I want to get into this because
This,
the rest of this episode, guys,
this is the
as we said
game.
last week, this is the one that we have circled, and it's very fun that this is also, our 10th episode, and it just makes it more so that much more special. But this game, as we've been talking about for the last few weeks, this is a game that I have never wanted to win a game so
Mhm.
freaking badly. I genuinely have so much hate for that team up north. I love going to Ann Arbor. It's a beautiful spot. It really is. And that's hilarious for me to say because as an Ohio State fan, I just can't stand the campus. But it is a beautiful campus. But
Yeah.
with all of this stuff going on with Harbaugh, and we really haven't talked too much about it, um, I have a big feeling that everything that's gone on is going to play a significant role in how this game goes for either team. It's either going to be Michigan comes out swinging and we just get our ass kicked, or we come out swinging, shock the hell out of that team up north, and they get their ass beat at home. I don't know if it's going to be a close game on either end. I literally think it's going to be a beatdown either way.
And the crazy thing is, I saw a reporter on Twitter from Michigan. She was saying that the only thing that she's concerned about for Michigan is the Ohio State defense because this is the best Ohio State defense we've seen since 2019.
At least,
And
if not longer.
and she said like that's the only concerning thing because if you watch college football, the only thing that Michigan has is Blake Corum in the run game. That's really all they have. Like they don't have JJ McCarthy struggled against Maryland.
That Edwards kid is pretty fast too, and he
Yeah.
killed us last year because Blake Corum I think was hurt last year
Yeah, Blake Corum was
in
hurt
the
last
game.
year. But we also didn't have a run defense either.
We didn't, and we also we
We had
didn't
a
have a
bad
very
defense.
good game plan. We
Yeah.
really didn't have a good game plan, which could have very well been because they knew every fucking play that we were going to run.
For
But
the
that's
past
beside
2
the
years.
point. But that's beside the point. We are because now you're seeing Michigan people that are starting to come out and say, "Oh, well, Ohio State has people that work for this company, this company that got our
Yeah.
stuff here," and it's like, just take the L. And listen,
And
if
you see
Ohio State really did do that shit, I would be just as mad at Ohio State as I am
Yeah.
at Michigan.
Well, the thing
Like,
is, bigger news outlets were reported, not the Michiganer or whatever it's called,
yeah,
the University of Michigan's newspaper. Like, of course they're gonna
yeah,
say dumb shit like that.
right.
Like,
Like, of course they're gonna be biased.
and then when you're Dave Portnoy, you believe all that crap, and it's like, oh, see, they're cheating too. And it's like,
I
dude,
can't fucking stand Dave Portnoy this week, or actually the last few weeks, really ever since this has started.
but you're
That
believing a
dude,
college newspaper. You can't believe a college newspaper, my guy. Like,
yeah.
you've gone to the lowest of the low if you're believing some stupid ass fucking. I
I
was like
mean,
us
he's
looking at the Buckeyes newspaper, like,
yeah,
ah,
yeah. Like he's looking at Reddit posts and things that
yeah,
very well be people could very well be uh
doctoring
doctoring. Meanwhile, we keep finding more and more
more
and more
about
stuff
Michigan,
out on Michigan with real people
like
that are actually credited.
ESPN, Fox
And
Sports,
literally
ESPN.
and literally they found more shit even after uh
Yeah.
even after they decided not to take it to trial or to go through court for this, and then they
Mhm.
fired their their linebacker coach just for no reason, just whatever.
Yeah.
It's because he's part of it. He was the one helping facilitate Stallions in this whole movement, and then having Blake Corum tied to a company that they have, like it's just there's so many weird ties, and I genuinely do feel bad for some of the players because I guarantee not all of these players knew what was going on, nor do I even believe that all of the coaches knew, because
Yeah.
I really think this guy kept it under wraps and just said, hey, I'm just starting to catch on to this, where it seemed like a few of them did. And as a head coach, I really think you couldn't have known, and that's why they, obviously had him, be suspended. But as an Ohio State fan, now that Harbaugh is suspended and he's not going to be in this game, you cannot, for your own ego's sake, even, but you cannot lose to this team up north without Harbaugh. You cannot let a team that doesn't even have their own head coach beat you, no
Nope.
matter if it is in Ann Arbor, because I think it is. I'm pretty sure this
It
game's
is
in
in Ann
Galveston.
Arbor.
So that's
It
the
is
only
at
thing that's going to
Michigan.
be down on our end. But I think Ryan Day is genuinely pissed. I think he's been keeping it in quite a lot. I think these players are pissed, especially these guys that have been here for the last 2 years that have lost.
Yeah.
Um, I just genuinely hope that we come into this game ready to roll, like ready for a dogfight, but ready to pounce. Like I want us to do what we did to them back in I think it was like 2019 when ever Haskins threw like 5 scores on them and we dropped like 60. That's what I would
Yeah.
love to happen. Do I think McCord is going to do that? No, because Michigan does have a good defense too. They have one of the best, if not the best corner in the league. I know that. But we just have more weapons, and I think we have a slightly better quarterback. I think JJ McCarthy is highly overrated. He's never been a good thrower. The only good game he had throwing, at least last year, was against us. For some reason, he threw 3 bombs, and they all went for scores.
Yeah.
Um, this year, it's going to be different because I think everybody's going to be ready. Everybody's going to be pissed, and I just can't wait for Saturday. I'm literally counting down the minutes. The fact that I only work a half day on Friday is great because I can start getting myself in the mode just even
Yeah.
faster.
Well, the
I'm
best, and just to keep everyone in mind too, Michigan struggled against Penn State, only winning 24-15,
yeah.
and they struggled last week against Maryland 31-24. Like, and JJ McCarthy's stats against Penn State, he was 7 of 8 for 60 yards, and he was 12 of 23 against Maryland for 140 yards.
All right.
So that shows you that and both of those games were away, don't get me wrong,
All right.
but you're supposed to blow Maryland out of the water. You're supposed to blow Penn State away. Like, especially with Penn State, how bad Penn State has been, you're supposed to, at least we beat them by double digits. Like, it's not like we're like, oh, well, we're going to beat them by, I think it
It
was
should have been
barely a touchdown.
22. I mean, we should have beat them 22-6, but they scored at the very end of the game with like 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, it should have been 22-6, but they scored in late games, so it didn't really matter. Like,
Garbage time,
it
literally.
was garbage time touchdown. Like, of course, it doesn't mean anything. But JJ McCarthy clearly struggled against both. And that Maryland defense isn't even that great. It's not
No.
superb, and you somehow struggled against a mid defense. Like, the defense isn't bad, it's not great. It's just in the middle of the road, and you struggled against it. Like, how do you struggle against that kind of defense when? Let's see. When we've won every game so far, our last 5 at least, by double digits.
Yep.
And when we played Maryland, again, we beat them by 20. So, and McCord threw for 320 yards.
Yeah.
It's getting ridiculous. I mean, the only bad game really that McCord had was a 35-16 win against Rutgers, and he threw for 180 yards. But then again, Henderson ran for 128.
Yeah.
And then he ran for 104. Henderson also ran for 146 against Minnesota, and he ran for 162 against Wisconsin.
Yeah. Like we just have weapons everywhere.
And then
offense.
Harrison has already 1,000+ yards receiving,
and again, he's going to be in a tougher matchup. But we have literally 5 or 6 guys that you can throw to at all times. Yeah. You can use Marvin as a decoy if you really don't feel comfortable with that matchup. But I can guarantee Marvin is going to find a way to score at least once, if not even twice, because the dude's just that freaking good. I know for a fact he is going to be pissed from last year. There's going to be a lot of players that are really going to be trying to come for blood. I think this game's going to be a nasty game. I think it's going to be one of the most physical rivalry games that we've had in years, and it's always super physical. So I think it's only going to be nastier. I could see a fight. Like, there's anything is on the table at this point.
Who's going to be who's your surprise player that's going to perform for Ohio State?
Surprise player.
Like the person you think that's going to just go off and you really wouldn't think would go off.
I'm gonna say Ibuka because he's had some quiet weeks, but The other guy that I love and I can't wait to see him play more next year is Carnell Tate. I think this is
Yeah.
a game where he could very well put his name on the map because he had a pretty good game last week. I think Stover can have a good game. Stover had a great game last week. He's had a great last few weeks, especially the
He would be my
MSU
pick.
game he went off. There's so many guys capable of it. I could see Henderson being being the big guy. I can see Tripp having a 2-score game. Like it just comes down to just how the game flows. Like who starts off red hot early and then who closes the game out, because it's usually how it always is. One team starts hot and then the other starts to climb back, and then it becomes a game by the fourth quarter, and then you got a dogfight. Um, it's just going to come down to, can McCord take care of the ball?
Yeah.
Don't get pretty with it. Don't get cute with it. Just stay within the offense that's been working. Find the matchups, attack them consistently, and then our defense, as long as you stop the run game, Michigan is going to be sweating profusely, because if you stop that run game, they have nothing to go to because they really don't have a lot of weapons receiving the ball, at least. I mean, I'm not scared of really anybody on that team besides Blake Corum and Edwards, and those are two of the running backs. So you stop those guys and at least limit them, because they're going to do stuff. One of them is going to score, if not both, because I can see this being somewhat high scoring. But if it's not, it's because Ohio State's defense was able to contain them the entire game consistently and just wreak hell. Like you got to get to JJ McCarthy. You got to bring constant pressure on him, make him make hard throws, and let our DBs do the rest. And
Mhm.
again, that's why I feel a lot more confident. The last few years, our defense really wasn't that great anyway. And last year was the first year that we had our new DC. So now you got a year under your belt with that guy. He's doing a lot better. Our line has been getting to them a hell of a lot more. We actually have guys that make plays and really change the game. And that's why I just don't see us losing 3 years in a row. And then if you do, you might see Ryan Day as a Aggie, because that's a rumor too, apparently. Um, if he loses, he's probably going to get fired anyway.
Yeah.
And then in comes Brian Hartline. And then in comes all of your recruits that you had, because Brian Hartline's been the main reason you had those recruits. And obviously he would take that in a heartbeat, but let's not talk about that right now. I know that was random, but point is, this is a game you got to win. You were fighting for a playoff spot. This is the best this team has looked right now. They've been having some nice, solid wins against crappy teams, but again, they're clean wins. You're not killing yourself. You're not getting yourself into these weird shootouts with teams that just aren't good. And meanwhile, Michigan's struggling, a little bit. They really are. They're not playing the best football that they could be, and I think they're going to have a rude awakening, because we are a lot better than these Michigan fans keep giving us credit for, and it's pissing me off. It genuinely is.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. I think this is the game that defines so much for both teams. And whoever comes on top, I mean, whoever comes on top is going to benefit the most coming next year, because for me, if Ohio State loses, then like you said, a lot is going to change in the program.
Yeah.
They could get fired. So much shit could happen. For Michigan, on the other side, it could be the downfall of Michigan, because Michigan need this win badly. They need a college football, because what can happen next year? A lot of their coaching staff gone because of
Yeah.
the whole incidents. A lot of scholarships gone.
Yeah.
A lot of players not deciding to revoke their
Yep. Hit the transfer portals. Yep.
yeah, they're gonna go to transfer portals. Some players who signed are gonna revoke their signing and sign somewhere else. Like they're gonna decommit. That's what I was looking for. They're
Yeah.
gonna decommit and then recommit somewhere else. And that whole the whole thing that's going on with Michigan, the cheating and stuff like that. If they don't win this game, it's shit. this is the end. This could be the immediate downfall of the Michigan football
Yeah.
program for years to come because no one's going to want to go there. No one's going to want to, like, yeah, they have a rich program and a rich history, but for the next 5 or so years, you're going to be down in the dumps because no one's going to want to go there.
Yep.
And it's just going to be a toxic environment. Nobody's going to play in that kind of environment, and it's just not going to look good. So
Well,
this is
and
a massive game for both teams.
I was about to say, and I think the other thing too that you should mention here is there's talk about them getting out of the Big Ten after
Yeah,
everything, and if they do get out of the Big Ten, that's huge for the Big Ten, but not really for well, it's I think it's more big for them because I think the Big Ten has made them. I think
yeah.
what Portnoy has said, where we would be fine if we left
Where are you
the
going to
Big Ten
go?
and went. It's like, what are you going to be? The next freaking Notre Dame? Like, are you just going to be independent
Independent.
and play whoever? Are you going to join the SEC? Are you going to join the Pac-12 or the Big 12, whatever? Like, these conferences are already starting to go away, and
Yeah.
I think if you leave the Big Ten, I think that just will mess you up severely because it would mess up Ohio State a lot. But if Ohio State left the Big Ten, they would just go to SEC. I guarantee.
Yeah.
They would want the better competition, and fortunately for us, when it comes to the Big Ten now, is we're going to have a lot better competition now with the likes of Oregon and USC and UCLA coming in here
And the
and
thing is,
adding
too,
more people here.
if Michigan were to leave the Big Ten, I would like Notre Dame to replace them because I think
Yes.
Notre Dame would be a great replacement for Michigan if they were to decide to up and walk out. Like,
And it
cool,
would help
Michigan.
them.
Yeah, yeah, like, cool. You go be independent, whatever. This would be better for Notre Dame anyways because
Yeah.
now they have a reason to make the college football playoff if they
Yeah.
were to. So now they can stop complaining like, "Oh, we don't get in. We're undefeated." It's like, well, because you play whoever you fucking want,
Yeah.
and you don't have a championship game, a conference championship game to be a part of. So of course you're not going to get in when Bama and Ohio State and other schools have conference championships that year. They beat all their conference opponents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like those things matter. Like you're not going to get in because you're an independent school and you can play Air Force every year. Like
Mhm.
no one cares. Like unless you're playing Ohio State consistently, Michigan consistently, Bama's and Tennessee and LSU's, like then yeah, you would have a case to get into the football playoff. But when you're playing Kent State, you're playing Air Force and Navy, and you're playing Coastal Carolina, like you're not making much of a case for yourself. Like, and then you add like Ohio State to the schedule. Like, oh, see, we played Ohio State. Cool. What about the other Mountain West teams and other schools you played against? And with the
Yeah.
one excuse of an FCS school just out of fucking nowhere too. Like,
Yeah.
you think that's gonna help you get in? No.
Right. And there's a lot of mid-Michigan, people that always bring up the fact that we did that. And I was like, dude, I hated that. I genuinely
Yeah.
hated playing a Northern Illinois in week 2 or playing Bowling Green or, Kent State, Akron, whatever. Like I didn't like doing that because it doesn't do anything for your football team. It really just kind of just gives guys that don't get to play a lot play, or it helps your starters play one half and then they're done. It really doesn't show anything for your team. It's really more of a showing out for that other team that says, hey, let's try to beat these guys. But regardless, getting paid $1 million to show up.
Yeah. So
It's charity work.
I'm looking at Notre Dame's schedule, and listen to the schedule: Navy, Tennessee State, NC State, Central Michigan, Ohio State, Duke, Louisville, USC, Pittsburgh, Clemson, and Wake Forest. With their last game being Stanford this Saturday, and the teams that they lost to: number 6 Ohio State, number 25 Louisville. The ranked teams they played, they got smoked.
Yeah.
And it's
And
like
the only decent team that they beat was USC, and USC's lost what 4 or 5 games now. Like
yeah, and Duke,
they're not even that good.
they barely beat Duke by a touchdown, and Duke was ranked 17th when they beat them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
it's like you're playing a bunch of fucking nobodies because you're playing Navy, Tennessee State, NC State, Central Michigan's. You're playing Pittsburgh. You're playing Clemson. You lost to Clemson, who's unranked, and you lost them by 2 touchdowns.
yeah, like it would definitely help them if they were placed into the big, into the Big
If,
Ten,
if,
especially if decides to leave. Which
yeah,
again, if they do good riddance, as long as you guys play us at the end of the year every year, like we have, I don't care. But the game needs to never get rid of it. Like it doesn't matter what you say. That game is always going to be a game that needs to be
yeah.
at the end of the year. Like it just
Well,
doesn't. It doesn't matter.
well, the thing is too, the game you want to be in one of these big conference championship games if you're like a team like Notre Dame and you jump into the Big Ten because the Big Ten winner usually guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff. The winner of the SEC usually a guaranteed spot of the conference. The winner of the Pac-12 usually a guaranteed spot.
Yeah, and even if you don't get into the playoff, you still get yourself in a Rose Bowl.
Yeah, and you get
For,
yourself into a
Big
big
Ten,
bowl game.
or the
Instead,
Fiesta Bowl, or the Orange Bowl, whatever. Like you're always
congratu-
guaranteed a big bowl.
congratulations, you're gonna be playing in the Flower Bowl.
Yeah. It's like nobody wants to play in those
The
bowls.
Idaho
Everybody,
Potato Bowl.
right? Like nobody wants to play those. Like those are not the fun ones. You want to be in those, the old Tonitos, the Esta Bowl, or the Orange Bowl, or the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl. Like those were the top four, and that's what the playoff literally uses. And then on top of that, they still have those games. So
Well, even still, like the best that they should do. I mean, hell, if you're Notre Dame, you could just join. Yeah, you could join the Big Ten because it fits perfect. But
yeah,
if still join even if you join like a mediocre conference like the Conference USA or something,
yeah,
just join a conference because I understand because the only independents are Army, Massachusetts, and UConn. Like I can understand why some of those teams, like especially like Army, are like independents because they don't really belong anywhere. But
yeah.
I don't think there should be an independent football conference. I
No,
don't think so. I think all those teams who are independent need to join some kind of fucking conference.
yeah, absolutely. There's no
But
reason
no,
not to at this point.
Ohio State and Michigan Saturday, so fucking stoked, dude. Like this is gonna be the best days of our lives. Like
Yes.
I'm so ready for it.
It's either going to be the best day or
Or the
it's going to
worst day.
ruin, or it's just going to ruin the entire week. Which, listen, not going to lie, my week has already sucked as is due to some personal stuff. So it's not fun anyway. So an Ohio State win would be great.
It would be
It
superb.
it would be great. It would even if the Browns lost, it would still be fine because Ohio State won the game and that's all I cared about.
Yeah.
But if all three of them lose this week, and then you're like, that was a tough week because the last 2 years, that's been how it is.
Would the Browns
And
save your weekend?
yeah, and it's like I don't want the Browns to save my weekend because more than times they don't. But now,
Yeah.
this year it's actually like, okay, actually
They can save my week. Yeah,
they
like
can.
I don't have to jump off the bridge. It's
Yeah, and it's and again, we talked about the fact that when you win this game against that team up north, it pretty much guarantees you the Big Ten championship game. And to be honest,
Big
with
Ten championship.
the other side of the Big Ten, with the way that they've divided it, which I think they need to get rid of. I think they need to either balance it or just get rid of it and just let the two best teams go at it regardless.
Just burn it.
Yeah, because it makes the Big Ten championship so lopsided. Like who is on the other side of the Big Ten that's good this year? Like what
Nobody.
is the Big Ten standings?
So all I know is all I know is Iowa is the one who's going to come out because it's Iowa, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Nebraska, Purdue, and Iowa is the only team that's like anywhere above
9-2 right now.
9-2, and then everyone else is like 6-5 or 5-6.
And Iowa, I mean, they're all right, but they're not like a crazy offensive team. They're more so defensive. So
Iowa's just another Penn State, basically.
Yeah, they really are. They
You're
probably
literally playing
haven't
Penn
really
State
been
a second
challenged.
time. Yeah, you're playing a Penn State a second time.
I'm genuinely surprised that Northwestern is 6-5 this year because they've been ass the last few years prior.
They lost to
Um,
Akron in like 2019.
yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest disappointment I think for me is probably Indiana and even Wisconsin. Wisconsin at 6-5,
Big
not good,
disappointed.
not
Yeah,
ideal, not
they're
good.
awful.
Yeah, like they used to be the team that we would always face here in the Big Ten West. So,
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad to
um,
see someone different to be in it, but
right. So, again, if you get yourself into that Big Ten championship game, it just gives you the opportunity to basically clinch the playoff right there and then because
yeah.
you're pretty much guaranteeing a Big Ten win because I just don't see us losing to Iowa. And if you do, then you definitely could still make the playoff, but then that's when Michigan gets squeaked in, or that's when
Well,
a
the thing
Florida
is,
State can get in, or
nope.
Washington.
And the thing is, well, the funny thing is like I've heard like even if Ohio State were to lose even this Saturday, that they still have a better chance of getting into the college football playoff because their resume is so strong
Yeah,
and their
it's so
resume is
much
so good.
better, and they're clean because they don't
Yeah.
have shit on them right now like UM does.
Yep.
And I can't wait for the game. I don't know if you have anything planned personally, but I am doing a little tailgate at our friend's house with me and my girl. So we're gonna have fun, and it's gonna be one of those games where I'm literally gonna be locked in. Like I'm gonna try to stay off Twitter because Twitter's
Yeah.
gonna get nasty. I already know it will, and I am gonna want to say shit to Michigan fans that I shouldn't. So I got to be good, I got to be respectful. And if we do lose, you lose with class. But if you win, you not only win with class, but you know what? Talk a little shit because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, after all of this has been said and done, how cocky uh, JJ has been, and pretty much all of the guys, the only guy that hasn't been like cocky is Blake Corum. He's the only kid that said stuff this week that like I was like, oh, like he's sincere, he's cool, he's nice.
Yeah.
But other than that, like everybody on is just taking this whole Michigan versus everybody thing to heart. You're not America's team. You're not going to be because you were cheaters. You guys cheated, and no matter what way you look at it, that's how it is. And after this game, when we beat your ass by by double digits at least, um,
Yep.
then we're going to talk our shit, and then we're going to see you guys just get dismantled in the offseason because they're going to find more stuff and more stuff. And then you're going to get scholarships taken. You're going to get wins vacated. There's shit that could happen because if we had to give up, it was what, the Sugar Bowl or the Orange Bowl when that, tattoo
Yeah.
scandal happened. If that is what we had to go through and you guys cheated, y'all better get way worse than us.
Yeah.
Seriously, because it was kids selling memorabilia for free tattoos, and it was like Big Ten, championship rings and shit like that. Like it was theirs. Who cares? And now with the NIL, they wouldn't have even needed to do that because they would be making money. So again, it
And it
what
got
is it? Stupid.
it got Jim Tressel fired too,
Yeah,
basically.
it got him fired. Now he is the president of Youngstown State University.
Yeah.
That's what he does now. He gets to live in Youngstown. Okay, nobody asks for that.
Nobody wants to live
You
in Youngstown.
you just get bestowed that. And listen, shout out to anybody that does live there because I'm sure there's some nice spots, but for the most
Yeah.
part, I know like there's a
It's
homeless
disgusting.
dude screaming random things at 3 a.m. It's not fun out there. It's not for the weak.
All right, so do we have score predictions before we decide to end these things?
I do, but I am gonna let you go first.
I'm gonna go with 42-27 Ohio State.
It's about what I had. I okay. I'm gonna try to be realistic. I'm gonna say 38-21. Like
Yeah,
I think it's going to be close early on, and then somebody is going to
just
press
go
back.
out. Yeah,
Because that's usually how it's been the last few years. A lot of the scores from the last 2 years have been a little weird because it's been like 45-28. I think it was like
yeah.
40, so something to 20 something. So it was like it's always been around there. And as long as you don't let Michigan hang around, like if you can just keep yourself at least a good 2 touchdown lead for a majority of the game, I think you just win that game outright because you're just going to wear them out on
Mhm.
defense. So yeah, I'm saying 38-21 or 24. Ohio State for sure. I know it's in Ann Arbor. I know it's at the Toilet Bowl, but um, fuck Michigan. We're getting this
Fuck
dub. I don't
Michigan.
care. I don't care what anybody says. Sorry, mom, if you watch this. Fuck Michigan. I am an adult, and I'm saying this. Fuck Michigan. Fuck that team up north. We're getting demonetized anyway. We're not even getting paid, so it doesn't matter. FTTUN. I want that dub. It's the only thing I care about.
And before we close out, we will be having all these episodes on Spotify from now on too,
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So check us out on Spotify. If you don't watch it on YouTube and you listen in your car or you work out, whatnot during work, we are now on Spotify. So be sure you guys check out any of these episodes on Spotify. Unfortunately, we couldn't get episodes 2 through, I think it's like 2 through 5 up because we did those as live streams. So we can't get those unfortunately on Spotify. But episodes 1 and then 6 through now, we will be on Spotify. So be sure you guys go and check it out. And if you want to check out our other episodes, then episode 2 is on Twitch, and then episodes 3 through 5 will be on YouTube on our YouTube live section. So be sure you guys go and check all those episodes out. We will be on Spotify from now on. Just want to get the great news out there before we close it all out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm so excited that we are on Spotify now. It's been a minute since we've been trying to get it on there. So
Yeah.
now that your boy Andrew has gotten that sorted out, every episode pretty much from now on is going to be on there. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Go Bucks! Thank
And
you
fuck
everybody.
Michigan.
Yes, thank you everybody that's joined us today. We will see you guys next week. Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving.